And now, ladies and gentlemen, please take your packages, coats, hats, and purses and spring up out of your seats. America's most exciting new city is straight ahead.
What's up, everybody? It's Paul from Find the Mouse, and I'm here at Disneyland to talk about Disneyland's forgotten attractions. Woo! Little do you know, there are a lot of attractions still here at the Disneyland park that are no longer operating but still exist in the park. So let's check those out. Our first stop is inside of Tomorrowland. It's kind of crazy to think about how many rides have come and gone inside of Tomorrowland and how many rides are still here. For instance, this huge track right in the middle. That used to be the People Mover. It actually opened up in July 2nd in 1967 and it literally encompasses all of Tomorrowland. As you can see, the track stretches through multiple buildings. But in 1995, the People Mover closed down permanently, never to return until 1998 when they opened up the Rockin' Rods, which you can still see the entrance has been since replaced by Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. Pretty crazy. That ride was actually plagued with technical difficulties, and that's why they ultimately closed it a short 2 years later.
Welcome to the Golden Jubilee celebration of Tomorrowland Rapid Transit. For 50 years, we've imagined how transportation of the future might change your lives. Here now is one of our early visions of the world of tomorrow.
Located directly next to Space Mountain is Starcade. Starcade used to be a two-story arcade where people could go in and play different video games until it ceased function in 2015, and then it became a special annual pass holder place for special events and banquets, and now it's actually abandoned. Just to the left of the Starcade is the former Captain EO, which is now Path of the Jedi. And that actually opened up in the late 80s until 1997, when about the time Michael Jackson had his big controversies going on, so they decided to switch it to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. After Michael Jackson passed away, they brought it back in 2010 until 2014, when they did all of the Star Wars overlay for Tomorrowland. As you can see right here, we got Captain Phasma walking in, probably going to screen out the film.
For those of you nearest our theater entrance, please stand away from the curtains and behind the yellow line until the doors have opened completely. As you enter
a ragtag band led by the infamous Captain EO.
One of my favorite attractions as a kid was the Innovations building. This entire structure used to spin the interior wall. Now Innovations has been transformed into Star Wars Launch Bay. But back in the heyday, this was a mecca for innovations and the world of tomorrow. So let's check out the inside. As you can see from what's left over, they have all this Star Wars stuff, but you can still see the rubber from where the wall used to separate and this interior building spun. You can see the interior has been completely transformed into nothing but Star Wars. But on the top floor, which you can barely see, I don't know if I can get a better shot of this, it used to be a bunch of cool things up there, so you could like see what you look like when you were 50 years old, if you smoked, drank. When Segways first came out, they actually had a little area where you can test drive Segways, which was awesome. And one of my favorite shows upstairs was the Osmo show. They had Toyota's Osmo on display upstairs, and he would come out and do a little show. It's really funny, I used to always trick my friends and tell them that Osmo was going to do a backflip. And of course they believed me, like, oh, this is such a cool show, I'm waiting for Osmo to do a backflip. I'm like, oh, it's at the end, it's at the end. And of course they bought it every single time. Greatest thing ever. Before I take out of here just yet, I think I should mention that the original home of this building was the Carousel of Progress. The Carousel of Progress was featured at the World's Fair, I believe, And just due to technical difficulties and things of that nature, they eventually closed down Carousel of Progress and transferred a lot of the animatronics to Splash Mountain.
Welcome to the General Electric Carousel of Progress. Now, most carousels just go round and round without getting anywhere. But on this one, at every turn, we'll be making progress. And progress is not just moving ahead. It's dreaming and working and building a better way of life.
Our next attraction is the Skyway. Now those are the gondolas that actually flew over Disneyland, starting from Tomorrowland, and I believe it ended up somewhere in Fantasyland or Frontierland. Now the only actual remnants of this ride are located on the Matterhorn. As you can see, there's still a hole inside the Matterhorn. It used to be a lot bigger until they sealed it all up back sometime in the early 90s, early to mid 90s. And I used to go right through the Matterhorn and just give you an aerial view of all of Disneyland. Now, what's really a bummer about this ride is they never decided to bring it back, and it probably will never come back, ever. Tragically, due to metal fatigue and other technical difficulties, the Skyway was closed for good. So that's when they led to major renovations inside the Matterhorn and also in the submarine ride. Now, a special place in my heart will always be Toontown. That's because my dad actually built Toontown, and he was a carpenter for like 25 years, and he actually built the 5 and Dime store, which I'll show in a second. It's still around, and it's cool to see that he actually got to make it. But unfortunately, he like broke his leg right before the opening, so we didn't get to go to the sneak peek opening when it was like 1994 or something like that, which I would have been for. That's sad. As previously mentioned, here's the 5 and Dime store that my dad built, and his handwork is actually right inside the door, but I'll get back to that later or possibly in another video. Our next section that we're checking out is located towards the back of Toontown. Located right next to Chip and Dale's treehouse is the former location of the Acorn Crawl. You know what's crazy? As a kid, I totally remember going into this ball pit, and essentially that's what it was. It was a ball pit with acorns, balls shaped as acorns, and they're all filled in this little moat. I don't know if you can see them. All throughout. And over there to the back side, right over there, that's where the ride operator used to stand. Now, I don't know why they would need a ride operator for a ball pit, but that's where they would stand. They had their little telephone right there. All the balls were located right there. It's kind of loud out here. But yeah, unfortunately in 1998 they decided to close the ball pit because of health concerns. Now imagine this, 1998, everyone's freaking out about ball pits. Like, oh, they're disgusting, they're gross. So this isn't the only ball pit they actually closed. They closed pretty much all the ball pits nationwide. Give me $1 if you can find, or I'll give you $1 if you can find a ball pit somewhere functioning in the United States that's up all year round. And I'm not talking about like a fair, I'm talking about like a restaurant or an amusement park, because you will not find one. I can almost guarantee that. Now, it was no surprise that Walt Disney was nuts about trains. I mean, even before Disneyland, he had this huge train track in his yard. And that leads us to our next ride. Our next ride is one of 2 of Disney's original trains, one being the Grand Circle Tour. The second, located directly across the way from Big Thunder, is one of the remnants from Nature's Wonder in the form of a cave, a mine shaft. And that's where a part of the train used to come through. The train used to come all throughout this little valley before they built Big Thunder. And just to the left, there's another remnant of this ride, another mine shaft. So this ride was really expansive in all of its glory. And there's actually a really cool video by Justin Scard that I'll post in the description so you can check out the full ride. Now, this was taken out way long ago, like I'm talking like decades ago. So most of the video that you'll see of his is an actual animation of the ride. Well, it's really cool. Apparently he did a lot of research and it's just an amazing, phenomenal video. So I'll go ahead and post that video link in the description.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the little mining town of Rainbow Ridge, the gateway to nature's wonderland. As we head for the wilderness, a couple of suggestions. Please stay seated at all times and keep your hands and arms inside the train.
Our last and final attraction is actually 3 attractions wrapped into one. Now, it actually didn't release, it became 3 different rides. And that attraction is right over here by Haunted Mansion. Originally, what it was a walking tour of Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, and Tom Sawyer Island. And for some reason it didn't work out. That's when they brought in Bob Gurr to design the ride vehicles for Haunted Mansion. And they had like a little entrance right over here by Haunted Mansion. You can't even see it's bricked up. So it never really was an attraction. It just became 3 different attractions, and that's why I wanted to mention it. Just under this wall of the Haunted Mansion is the 1764 doorway. This was supposed to be the original entrance to the attraction, but as you can see, it's been bricked off, and all of this ground has been laid off with brick. Pretty sneaky, you could literally walk right past it. So if you guys like this video, feel free to subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments if you want to see more, and I'll post more videos coming soon. Peace.